You are now watching CLTV. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Hi guys, welcome for another week of our Youth Talk. We have a completely different setup today because we are talking about a completely different topic today. So today we're going to be addressing the topic of education and the realities of education, whether it's how we found our courses or how we actually found moving to university. Can you guys tell me a little bit about where you are at right now in your educational careers?
My name is Blessing. I'm currently studying Liverpool John Moores University. I study forensic psychology and criminal justice. Yeah.
Well, for me, also I'm going to start. My name is David, and I'm studying business in university. You know, I'm not like these two. These two decided to go, to move on. I decided to stay home. Because of obviously previous experience. I experienced living away from home during like my college years for football and everything. So personally, I didn't really want to move out because of that.
Yes, yeah, I guess it brings it back to me. So I guess I'm one of the people that David is throwing daggers at because I am a second year politics and international studies student at the University of Warwick. And so I went to study politics and I was really nervous, but I liked it and I just found myself there. So I guess one of the things that we're talking about in terms of the realities of university, what would you say was a reality that you faced? So you all have given me like you guys' perception of what you're studying and what you want to aspire towards. What's like a reality that you faced?
For me it was because I moved out for university. So it was like it's building up to the time that you're moving away. So it's like you're not thinking about like I'm going, whatever. Like you're not thinking about it. But it's that night, like that first night for me. It was the first night when you're actually like, wait, I'm actually not where I was before. Like I'm actually, and that kind of hit me a bit. Like okay, I'm actually providing for myself now. I'm actually depending on myself. Like my mum was not here to help me. So it's like that was my reality. Like I'm basically on my own now.
I would say for me, mine began when I came back home from football. Because obviously when I came back, I won't lie to you, football's not worked out, injuries and free rejection as well. I thought, I decided from focus on something else rather than football. Because I literally
kind of plan.
Football became a backup plan after being rejected. It became a backup plan. I was like, I'm not going to rely on this anymore. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to focus on my education and basically just go through a different route. You know what I mean? And it's okay to go for a different route. And it was really tough at first, because obviously coming from a football background, like that's all I knew.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm gonna do something to do with football. I tried that at first, and I realized I enjoy playing football, but I didn't enjoy studying football. I said, nah.
I think one of the things we really wanted to do with this show is kind of like bring a different perspective. I think a lot of our parents have the idea that education, even when they don't understand the educational system, they have this idea that it's a linear thing. So I think people forget that everybody has a different route to take.
Definitely.
And I think we have this pressure sometimes. Do you guys feel it sometimes where it's like at every stage everyone wanting you to go this way because this is how life is supposed to go? And when I was going to university, some of my friends didn't get the grades to go to university. So I remember a friend of mine, me and her having a conversation, and she was really, really upset because she worked really hard and she felt like she didn't get the grades that she wanted and it was really, really bad. And she said, but Vanessa, I feel like I'm going to be left behind. Like everybody my age is going to go to university and I'm still, because she had to retake a year to get better grades. And then she was saying to me, but like, I'm supposed to be in uni. And I think one of the things that we wanted to dismantle with this show is like there is such a thing as a right way of doing things, and like there's like within this time frame you're supposed to be here, there, everywhere, and in terms of tackling it with education, I think I had to say to her basically that it's life. In life, everyone has different times for different things. So I could be going to university today. That doesn't mean that you have failed in your life because you decide to take a gap year or don't go to university straight away. You find out what is like for you. Do you get what I mean? Everything happens in your time. And I was saying to her, like, there's going to be times in our lives where my friends might be married or these lot are having kids and I'm sat here like, I don't know what's going on. And I think we've kind of got to that stage in life where that's really what's happening. But then in terms of like the realities of education, like you said, in terms of like subjects, sometimes what you think you're going to study and what you end up studying
it's
is
completely
different.
I feel like we kind of get that from watching shows, series, and you think, like when that happened, especially, I had this kind of conversation with a friend of mine. Like when I say I want to be a detective, they're like, he was like kind of reminding me like being a detective on a Netflix series and being a detective in real life is not.
It's very fun on TV.
What you're going to be studying is not going to be the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Like when I first started my course, that was another kind of reality for me. Like there was so many different other things like in my course. I want to be a detective, but I have to study biology for it. I have to study maths for it, especially. I hate me and maths. Me and maths. There is so much to it, but like
another thing I think a lot of us have when it comes to realities of like education is we do things because we think about jobs and stuff like that, which I don't mind.
That's the problem.
Like the job security aspect, I don't mind it, but I think you have to do something because you enjoy it.
Doing it.
Because you can't go and carry a degree that you don't like because at the end of it you're gonna. It's just not.
There's debt involved as well.
Being realistic with it.
Do you know this? University is. It's like a roller coaster. There's aspects where you are enjoying your course and you're like, yeah, this is me, and then there's times where you're like, what is this?
No, assignment due next week.
Don't stop. And so it's like, in terms of like the job aspects of it, I think, like, what do you think makes people go to university to study things they don't want to do, but just because of a job? Like, what do you think?
I think a lot of people choose to go to university because of the parents, because of the pressure, and I won't lie. I'll be totally honest in it. It's not that I don't want to be in uni or anything. Like I do enjoy, I do enjoy my course, and like deep down, I also want to do it for my dad. Do you know what I mean? Because he really talks and like, oh yeah, I want my kids to graduate and all of that, and it's also nice, it's as much as it can feel like a burden, but it's also nice to do something for your parents as well, because obviously we have to remember, like obviously in the last episode I think we mentioned it, like they had to sacrifice coming here. Just making them proud is something that personally I hold really close to my heart, because I want to make him proud as well at the end of the day.
How do you balance that aspect of I want to make my mom proud, but I also want to do what's good for me? Do you get what I mean? Because I think a lot of people sign themselves up for making their parents proud, but at the expense of their own happiness. Whether it's you're studying a course, like we know, like in African families where it's like there's only really 5 acceptable jobs. You're either a lawyer, you're an engineer, you're a doctor. It's never anything creative. Or how do you balance? I want to make my parents proud, but I understand that this is my life and I need to live for me.
In my house, I'm blessed with parents that are very accepting. As in, like, especially my mom. My mom's side, she's very like, she's easy to adapt. Like, if you want to do this, even if it's like a music, like my sister went into that first, and she's gone into like the fashion industry, stuff like that. And some parents would be like, no, doctor. But my mom was really accepting of that, and that was kind of good. That really helped me, because then I didn't really have to go into something to make my mom happy or my dad happy, like, because I know that my mom is going to accept with what I want to do. She was kind of, okay, go ahead and do that. And so I was easy, for me personally, it was easy to kind of, I want to make my mom happy. And then I also know that my mom is going to accept anyways.
For me, quite similar to Blessing as well. Like, you know, you had that freedom of like choosing what you want to do yourself. But although you had that freedom, they still tell you like, oh, my dad was like, oh, you know, you're good at this. Why don't you do this? IT. Why don't you do IT? What, like, you know, he still told me to do other things, but like,
IT.
yeah.
When they think that you.
Just because you know where the HMI goes, you know what I mean? I still did get that freedom, you know, like of choosing what path I wanted to go to. I think, to be fair though, like football did actually save me, because maybe if I wasn't playing football, then they probably would have been more stricter, because he enjoys football as well, and he didn't want me to go down that path as well, because you know what, because I was actually doing quite well on it. But so yeah, I did have that freedom, and like with that freedom, I made my own mistakes as well, through that freedom, and I learned from it. Through the experience, I'm here now, you know what I mean? So in that sense, like personally, I don't really think too much of it in terms of like, yes, I do want to make them proud, but I want to make them proud in my own way, not the way they want me to be. Because at the end of the day, yes, they can give me advice, but then at the end of the day, I'm gonna go down a path that I, you know, personally feel comfortable in.
Yeah, do you know what? You guys have spoken about something, and I'm really glad to hear that you guys have those positive experiences. For me, I feel like I want to make my parents proud, but I'm also somebody who, like you said, in my own way. Like I'm somebody who's very knowledgeable on where I want to go. Even if I don't have a explicit picture of where I'm going, I always have a vision. And I think one of the things that I've had to learn about like this educational journey is the fact that what my parents think it's like to be educated in the UK and the realities of it is completely different. And sometimes it might seem like we have it a lot easier, when the reality is we don't. Like there's a lot of problems, especially like now that we're facing COVID, where everything's online and people's mental health are going to pot, and you're studying a degree that's demanding you to maintain the same level of the same standard of like performance, whilst being in a global pandemic where everything's changing. And so one of the things that I think I've had to learn, even before we got to this stage, was the fact that I can't come and kill myself for you. Do you get what I mean? And the fact that like you're my parent and I'm obviously taking the advice that you're giving me, but like the idea of having the trust in relationship, that trust me to make the decision, an informed decision on where I want to go. Because at the end of the day, the person who's living the realities of being like educated in university at this current time is me. Do you get what I mean? And even when it comes to like courses, they let me lead. And one of the things I found that helped me, let's say, in terms of like not feeling like I was being pressured, was me choosing what do I want to do, going and doing the research. I remember before I went to university, I visited so many different universities, and I remember I had like a Microsoft Excel sheet where I made like university, where they ranked, the course I wanted to study, the reviews of the course I wanted to study, what it's like how like in terms of employability, what is that like, and then also in terms of the people who study my course, do they enjoy it? Also the distance from home. Do you get what I mean? Things that I found were like important for me. And I think for me, it was literally when I came to sit my parents down. My dad and my mom were very like obviously supportive. My mom wasn't a fan of me going away from home. Do you guys feel as though your parents have been like not supportive in some aspects, or have been reluctant to let you, you know, because you're growing up now and you're leaving the house? Do you feel like they've been reluctant in like letting you have the liberties that come with like you're growing up? Do you get what I mean?
Sometimes it kind of comes down to who your parent is. Do you know what I mean? Like what their attitudes towards like moving out for uni, especially. Like my mom kind of gave me those talks like you're going there for uni type of thing. Parents trust in you. Your parent knows who you are. You know, your parent has been there for you and stuff like that. They know. Even parents like know. Sometimes it can be like because they know
how you are.
They know what you're
capable of.
You know, you know what I mean. For me, she trusted me, and was kind of, for me it was kind of like the ladies were kind of, you go and do, but just know.
Just know,
I think it just, like Besson says, isn't it? Like it goes back on trust. You know, having that trust. You know, trust comes with having like a proper connection or relationship with the person as well. So, and I've always had that, you know, that connection with my dad. You know, he trusted me. Actually, on a real, even my friends say like, you know, your dad's cool. Like, you know, he's someone that you can actually sit down with and to have a conversation with. There's not many parents that your friends will come in, you know, will come at yours, and your dad will be there, and, you know, is bantering with them. You know what I mean? So through that, he trusted me.
I really want to ask you guys about like the realities of university. Have you guys ever had a time where in university you have imposter syndrome? If you have faced it in university, how have you overcome it? Like, and do you even believe in imposter syndrome? Like,
I mean, I feel like everyone in university has one of those days where like the week where it's like,
When I first
I don't want to be here. Like, I mean, like it kind of the whole thing is like, what is this university thing? Please get me out. No thanks, no. But I mean, I guess I do kind of believe in it in a sense because I have had those kind of thoughts in my head. But overcoming it, it's like I know what I want to do with my life, and to kind of get there and the route that I want to take, I've kind of disciplined myself, and I don't want to, like, the specific route that I want to go down to get the job that I want to do is going to require me to go through university, because with university in my course there is so many things that I learn, like I said before, biology, maths, all of these different things. So it's like the route that I want to take, I know that I have to go through university kind of to do those things, to do what I want to do. So that's how I kind of got over it. I kind of accepted it. I kind of humbled myself, been like, okay, I need to do this.
Yeah, with me, I've also I've set this
Target goal.
like a target, where yes, there are times where I'm like, oh, really, I don't want to do this, you know. But then in the back of my head, I know I need this. I want this. It's not just I need this, but I also want this for myself. Do you know what I mean? I want to basically just do my best and just get this done and dusted with. You know what I mean?
do you know what? For me, in terms of imposter syndrome, I felt it more so at the start of first year, and it was, I go to university that I'm a minority. I go to university, not only am I a minority in terms of I'm black, but in my university, in the black space, in my year, I'm one of 4. Do you get what I mean? Wow. So there's only 4 Congolese girls in my year. But when I actually felt like imposter syndrome was going to my course and saying to myself, I was excited to go there, I was excited to learn about politics. And one of the things I found really hard was being in my seminar and then coming to the seminar, and I was the only black person I saw. I was the only black girl I saw, and I remember thinking, okay, cool. I remember we went into the seminar room, and then they didn't speak to me till we had to actually speak to people. I remember introducing myself, and then what happened was basically they laughed when I said something, but I don't remember it being funny. When I was speaking, I felt like they didn't take me seriously, and I felt so, I remember calling my dad afterwards and thinking, I said to him, why am I here, and why am I studying this degree, and what am I doing? And I was saying to my dad, they all know what's going on in the British Parliament and blah, 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 and I'm not interested in that. That's not the aspect of politics I like international development and security. I like things to do with the Middle East and Africa. I'm not interested in what they're interested in. And I remember being so panicked, and my dad saying to me, Vanessa, that's even great that you don't have an opinion on these things. It means that you go and look at these things for what they are in front of you. You're not biased to anything. And it took me a while. I remember in my seminars, I wouldn't speak. We do the reading, and I'd come and I'd listen to people say things that I've thought of, but I wouldn't put my hand up to speak because I was I'm scared. These people are smart. Some of these people's parents own businesses that big multinational businesses. You get what I mean? And then I used to say to myself at the start of all my seminars, just say one thing. Whereas this year, I feel like I've come to a point where I'm listen, we all get the same grades. We're all in the same university. And this year, I feel like I talk all the time. All the time. You're going to hear Vanessa's opinion in her seminar, of course. We're going to move on slightly. What would you have liked to know before you came to university? What would you have liked to tell yourself? Some of the realities that you face. So if, you right now, if you were looking at you before you went to uni, what advice would you give?
I should have been more prepared. In terms of because I honestly, when I said I didn't know what I was getting myself into, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I should have been more prepared. This year, it's been probably one of my best years.
That's good to hear.
So
given the circumstance, that's absolutely good to hear.
It's been one of my best years in terms of grades. Grades have gone.
Beautiful.
I feel like for me, it's more in terms of our situation that is going on right now in terms of like COVID. If I could tell the future of what was gonna happen in terms of COVID, I would have prepared myself in terms of, I know COVID is coming, so I'm gonna prepare for that, because I find it, for me, online classes and stuff like that, like I will open my laptop, I will get my things open, and then you'll start seeing me like
the eyes start closing.
The lecture finishes in 30 minutes, but you know, I'll go now, thanks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of find myself kind of like losing track, you know, so I could have, if I knew that was gonna come, I would have prepared myself for that, definitely.
Do you know what? I forgot to even make note of. Blessing, you're having a completely different uni experience. This is your first year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Sis! How have you found it? Uni has been the first year experience I had and your first year experience are like...
It's completely...
Have you entered a lecture with me?
No.
No! She doesn't...
So I've not had that. That's what I'm saying. If I knew that this was gonna happen, yeah.
We're sorry.
Wow.
If I knew this was gonna happen, it's always my year.
That's my dad.
It's always
my year. In year 6, they did madness with our stats. In year 7, they did something to our whatever it was.
In year
11, they changed the spec.
Yes.
We had to learn something completely different, and then now COVID.
I'm sorry.
New generation.
We're really sorry. I guess for me, one of the things I would say to myself is to trust the person that I am. I think sometimes, like, in terms of like how we see ourselves, and we don't believe in ourselves as much as I think we should. And I think one of the things with me is I know I'm a very driven individual. I know I have a lot of potential. And sometimes knowing that is the thing that stops me from showing that I have a lot of potential, because I get scared because I'm like, oh, I don't want to look like I'm showing off, or oh, what if it doesn't work? And I think one of the things I want to say to myself if I was starting university was believing that I was more than capable of being in the space that I was in. I'm more than intelligent to be around the people I'm supposed to be. And I think one of the things that stopped me throughout university in first year was I didn't want to put myself out there because I don't want to look like I'm showing off. And I'm not trying to be like big-headed. And I had to see one of this girl that I'm friends with. She's the year below me. I call her my little sister. She's called Renelle. And having to see this girl, like, and how brave she is and how courageous she's been in her first year, I thought, I wish I had a bit of that. Do you get what I mean? And so now that I know what I know now, I think I'm trying to implement that every day. Like, no one's going to believe in you in this world unless you believe in yourself. And the world is always going to look for reasons to tell you you're not qualified
Would
for
you not
that.
say that goes down to the people you surround yourself with as well? Because the example you gave with the girl, the one that's below you, like, 'cause obviously, you know, you didn't have that again. You know what I mean? You didn't have that support of the people, like, you know.
I think part of it was also trying to find my own footing. I went to university. I only knew one person in my university, my friend the year above. Out of my whole year, I was the only person in my university, so I had a very different university experience. You get what I mean? Like, some people went with their friends, and I guess when you go with your friends, you're comfortable in your circle. I had to go and find my way around Warwick, find my way around my course, and then try to understand what was happening. And I know that I was the one who chose to go there, but it meant that for ages I just didn't want to do anything that seemed a bit too like she's a big-headed person. And also, I went to university with people who are extremely intelligent. Do you get what I mean? And sometimes it's kind of like hard not to compare yourself to the people around you, because it's like, this person on Twitter on results day, everybody's like, she's amazing. And it's great to celebrate those people, but sometimes for you it's like, crap, should I even be in this room? Do you get what I mean? But I think, in terms of like the spiritual aspect of things, I think God puts you in the right place at the right time. And you find yourself always in the room that you're supposed to be in. Do you get what I mean? No matter how many times you sit and invalidate yourself. When we were doing Bible study, when we were talking about like the story of Gideon, sorry, this is something that happened time ago, and we were talking about he was supposed to lead the children of Israel like against like a war against like all these other armies, and they were a lot stronger than him, and God chose him, and he was saying to God, do you know what, I'm actually quite weak, like, do you get what I mean? And then like God using him to take him there. And I think for me, I related to that story so much more because I know that we all come from families where we're first generation. We're from low socioeconomic backgrounds. Our parents have had to sacrifice a lot. Do you get what I mean? So we've never really had that like comfortable living type thing. And we're the people that are actually molding the future. And sometimes you look at yourself and you think, I'm nothing. But in God's eyes, you are everything, and you're just the thing that God needs for like the rest of your family and the rest of. Do you get what I mean? And so when I say I wish I believed in myself, it was more so I wish I saw myself the way God sees me. Because from God's perspective, I'm more than capable. Anyways, guys, that has been our conversation, and this is like I know I went into like a little bit of spirituality there, but this has been a little bit about our experiences and our realities and growing and seeing ourselves in education. And one of the disclaimers we need to make before like we go, because I know that we're like all comedies, but our show is going to be something that's going to be like many people from different nations, different cultures, and we're just going to have conversations. So we really love it if you guys have these conversations with us, and make sure that you comment below and tell us a bit about your experiences and what we should have touched on or what you think you want to bring to the conversation. But thank you for tuning in.
Like, comment
and
subscribe. Get out.
You've proven yourself in my life, and I've come to realize you're too faithful to fail.